So the Kings were a topic of conversation on the pregame show. Mike Greenberg talking to Woj about the Kings in the fourth pick.
I bring Woj in on that topic because there seems to be a great deal of buzz around, well, several of the players, but in particular, Jaden Ivey. Woj, what can you tell us?
Greeny, that number 4 pick that the Sacramento Kings hold is very much in play. There are a lot of teams trying to get deals done with Sacramento so they can move up to select Jaden Ivey. That's teams close to them in the lottery. Detroit, Indiana, who are 5 and 6. The New York Knicks at 11, Washington Wizards at number 10, and even some teams outside of the lottery. Listen, Sacramento's asking price is going to be significant to move in there. I think they see this as essentially a 4-player draft. There's a drop-off after 4. Monty McNair, their GM, you can expect him to be on the phones in this next week as we get closer to Thursday's draft. And if they're going to move that pick, I think they expect they're going to get a lot in return. But Jaden Ivey is certainly a point guard that among several teams in the lottery and out who'd like to get their, who'd like to get at him. They've already talked to Sacramento. They'll continue to do that here.
Did Woj have audio problems? Man, tough time getting through that.
Like in his ear.
Okay, a couple of things. That's significant for Woj to go on ESPN's pregame show, Game 6 NBA Finals. Like, hey, yeah, the Kings are talking to a lot of teams. He mentioned 4, but there's more. I mean, that's a lot of teams. We're talking about 5, 6, 10, and 11 with the Pistons, Pacers, Wizards, and Knicks, and other teams. It's very interesting. And the timing of it, kind of interesting, too. This comes a day after Jonathan Gavoni's mock draft, where he had some intel that said, hey, Jaden Ivey's camp, he doesn't really prefer Sacramento as a landing spot. And then this story comes out like 25 teams want to move up to 4. So the Kings talk about being an interesting spot in the draft. If they are able to have so many teams talking to them, that means they should have a selection of some pretty good deals on the table if they elect to move down.
Yeah, which is great, right? The whole, every time we've talked about this number 4 pick and we've talked about assets, and it's always just great to have assets. And you think about how the narrative of this draft is, it's heavy top 4, and then after that, there's a drop. It just drops. Deuce and I have discussed this so much off air, how sometimes the drop isn't really just there, right? Like, it's just a narrative that is put out there. People believe that, and then some people are just doing their homework in these organizations and realizing that there's other talent in other places. People aren't talking about it all the time. So for the Kings to have so much attention on this number 4 pick, assuming, that Jaden Ivey would be there and that so many teams would want him.
Yeah.
Make more out of it. I'm with it.
Does it concern you at all?
What?
That so many teams want to move up for Jaden Ivey? Should that tell you, like, hey, maybe you should just take Jaden Ivey?
It does, but I also feel like sometimes teams just get nervous and follow the narrative. And so if you have enough confidence and skill, then do what's right. And if it is supposed to be Jaden Ivey, great. I'm going to believe that it's supposed to be Jaden Ivey right there. But if Monty McNair goes a different direction with it because he, 1, doesn't believe that it's Jaden Ivey, and 2, believes having established pieces, maybe if he could get that with picks and pieces, whatever. Let's just say that they're established NBA pieces that you can get for the number 4 pick, and you're in this win now mode. Why wouldn't you go in that direction if it made sense?
Well, the why not would be if Ivy has the upside that a lot of people think and could be a star, you're passing up on a star potential for
but my point
win
is,
now, which win now is what?
But
exactly.
my point is, if he felt that way, I feel like what we've seen from Monty McNair in these last 2 drafts, that he would make the smart decision and go for Jaden Ivey. And if it really was like, wow, he sees something else and feels like this win now could go in this direction with established NBA talent, then I would trust it until it didn't work.
I think my opinion on Jaden Ivey is I do see why people like him. We watched another game today. It was one that a lot of people have mentioned.
Yeah.
And we had not seen it yet. It was the under 19 Team USA against France game from July of 2021. And, Jaden Ivey had a pretty solid game there for sure. Like, he showed probably the best of Jaden Ivey. Like, defensively, super engaged for him, because I felt like at times he's not engaged when we watched his Purdue stuff. Had a really nice block. Him in transition. He had some explosive ass plays. Had a nice step back that he did miss. But there were some nice things that he showed. And I get why people are interested in him for sure. I just don't look at him personally as a can't miss prospect.
Yeah.
I think he is a guy that has flaws, that it's not to me some no-brainer that maybe some others feel like. That's just my perspective.
When I see his highlights, I'm like,
they're jaw-dropping.
Jaw-dropping. Like, yeah. And man, that guy can make things happen right away. Boom. That's what you feel. When you watch full games, and some people, and this is just in my opinion, because other people in here could have been like, I've watched all of his games. Great. In my opinion, watching some of his full games, it's a very different feel. And I still think he has a lot to offer, a lot.
He can be a good player.
And I think he can be a good player in the NBA. But some of those flaws, to me, are scary. Defensively, which I've talked about so many different times, right? And that's fine. The flaws in his defense, like, sure, you can make up with some of your athleticism. And then some of these other times in these games, we'd see him actually get in a passing lane and have his hands up. And then we'd see another game where his hands were completely down. And it's just like, okay, where are you at defensively? So with Jaden Ivey, I just don't see what people see when they're like just drooling all over him.
Yeah. You have seen some more flaws that maybe some others are not. I'm sure people see the flaws, but I think people are seeing more of the good and going, hey,
the good
he
is
does
great.
all this.
Yeah.
These are skills that you can't teach. Like, if you can get the other stuff, then you're talking about, wow, this guy could be really special. So I get it. I get it for sure. It's, there's so many factors with every player. Is he going to put in the work? Is he going to learn how to become a better defensive player? Can he consistently knock down the shot? Those are all fair questions. And let's not get twisted. Most of these prospects, even at the top, have questions about their game.
And again, I always state this because, yes, we know that they're all young and they all have so much room to grow, and so many players grow so differently. And you should look at what they can do over what they can't do. So I understand all that. I'm just looking at it from a number 4 pick situation for the Sacramento Kings, not him as just a draft pick.
So we just went Ivy for a second. I do want to circle back to what this got us started with, which was Woj's report that so many teams are trying to move up. He named the 4, right? The Pistons, the Pacers, the Wizards, the Knicks, and he mentioned teams outside the lottery. So who knows what's real, what's not this time. It seems like every front office person, agent lies to reporters or pushes a certain narrative. So who knows what's real and what's not. But let's just say that there are some options for the Kings. I personally, again, who knows what the trade would be, but I don't want the Kings to move down too far. The idea of moving back a spot or 2, I like that more so than I go 10 or 11, or if even outside of that.
Right.
I mean, it would have to be really enticing for me to get excited about that.